You're pretty sharp. It must have been you snooping around. I hope you weren't thinking of interfering. That'd be a mistake.
A costly mistake. I will eliminate you here and now.
Guys, Goku is going to have a big challenge facing Towa, the princess of the Demon Kingdom. But someone is going to fall in love with her, and you are going to see this story now with me. But before we start, it is very important that you leave your like and also subscribe to the channel. Have you done that? So let's get started. On planet Earth, the sun was setting over the mountains of a distant planet. Goku, with his vibrant energy and characteristic smile, was sitting on top of a rock admiring the landscape. He felt a strange presence, something powerful and dark approaching. In a few moments, a dimensional crack opened in the air, revealing Towa, the enigmatic scientist of the Demon Kingdom. Towa said, "We finally meet, Goku. I have been watching you for a long time." Goku asked, "Who are you, and why do I feel such a strange energy coming from you?" Towa smiled, her elegant and mysterious figure illuminated by the glow of the crack. She said, "My name is Towa. I was freed by King Goma, an ancient demon king you probably know well. After all, you were the one responsible for my king's downfall, but I came to seek revenge. He gave me a clear mission, to complete what he could not accomplish before, to dominate not only the demon world, but the entire universe created by Rymus, the great architect of the worlds." Goku spoke up. "To dominate the universe? That seems a bit extreme. Why would you want to do something like that?" Towa replied, "You would never understand. The universe is imperfect, full of weaknesses. Only under my control can it reach its true potential." Before Goku could respond, another presence made itself known. Yamcha appeared, landing next to Goku. He looked at Towa and his eyes widened. Yamcha spoke up, "Wow, you are one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen." Towa was visibly disconcerted, her cheeks turning red for a moment. She tried to maintain her cool and imposing posture, but Yamcha's unexpected compliment disarmed her for a moment. Towa spoke, "You are bold mortal, but there is no room for distractions in my plans." Yamcha smiled confidently. "Look, I don't know about your crazy plans to dominate the universe, but if you want to forget about it for a while, we can talk, you know? Maybe have dinner?" Goku laughed at Yamcha's attempt, but before he could intervene, Towa raised her hand and fired an energy beam straight at Yamcha. The blow was so powerful that he fell to the ground unconscious in just one movement. Goku said, "Hey, that was unnecessary. He was just trying to be nice to you." Towa replied, "I don't have time for useless things. Are you going to take me seriously now?" Goku said, "If it's a fight you want, fine, but I'll show you that it doesn't have to be this way." The two assumed combat stances. Goku felt that Towa's energy was unlike anything he had ever faced. But as always, he was excited for the challenge. The battle began with an exchange of quick blows. Towa demonstrated great skill, her demonic magic creating barriers and projectiles that forced Goku to maintain focus. Vegeta suddenly appeared, landing near the battlefield. He watched the scene with interest, his arms crossed. Vegeta said, "Hey Goku, who's that woman? She's incredibly strong." Goku replied, "Her name is Towa. She seems to want to rule the universe or something." Vegeta said, "Rule the universe? How cliche, but I want to fight her after you." Towa looked at Vegeta with disdain. "You wouldn't be a challenge for me, you idiot boy." Vegeta replied, "Boy, you'll eat those words when I defeat you." Goku said, "Vegeta, calm down. Let's take this one at a time." The fight continued, and Goku noticed something strange. Towa wasn't fighting at her full potential. Then Goku stopped and looked at her. Goku asked, "You're not giving it your all, are you? Why?" Towa hesitated, her expression hardening. "You wouldn't understand. There are things I need to do, but I don't want to waste my power on you." Vegeta interrupted, "If you're not going to fight for real, let me fight her, Goku." Goku smiled. "All right, Vegeta, but be careful, she's strong." Vegeta charged forward with determination, his fists enveloped in an intense golden aura. His speed was impressive and each blow made the air vibrate. Vegeta shouted, "Let's see if you're that powerful when someone fights for real." Towa, floating gracefully, dodged the attacks with tiny movements, as if she were dancing. Her smile was provocative. "You're so full of energy, but that won't be enough." Vegeta threw a kick straight at Towa's face, which she dodged by leaning back. The Saiyan took advantage of the moment to spin in the air and launch a Kai blast at point-blank range. The explosion was immediate, but when the dust settled, Towa was unharmed, protected by a black barrier. Towa spoke, still smiling. "Nice try, but is that all you have?" Vegeta replied, snorting. "You talk too much. How about fighting for real instead of hiding behind these tricks?" Towa, without losing her calm, raised a hand and conjured a sphere of dark energy, charged with evil power. She launched it towards Vegeta, who jumped back to avoid the impact. The explosion destroyed the ground, throwing debris everywhere. Vegeta shouted, "You'll need more precision if you want to hit me." With a quick movement, Vegeta disappeared and reappeared behind Towa, launching a ki blast straight at her back. The villain was thrown forward by the impact, but managed to recover in the air, turning around with an irritated expression. Towa said, "You've started to irritate me, boy." She launched herself at high speed, engaging Vegeta in hand-to-hand combat. The blows exchanged made deafening sounds, and each impact created shockwaves that shook the ground. The fight was evenly matched, with both displaying impressive speed and strength. In the midst of the clash, Towa retreated for a moment and launched herself at high speed towards Vegeta. Vegeta realized the danger and dodged with a jump to the side, but the explosion generated by the attack destabilized Towa, who lost control for a moment. Towa was thrown in the direction where Goku was watching the fight. Unable to dodge in time, she ended up falling on top of him. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Towa, always so confident and in control, was completely speechless. Her face took on an expression of surprise, and a slight pink tint appeared on her cheeks. Towa muttered, trying to regain her composure, "What a disconcerting situation." Goku, quickly stepping back to get out of that situation, scratched his head and laughed nervously and said, "Yeah, I didn't expect that either." And before either of them could make any other move, a familiar sound echoed across the field. Yamcha, who had been unconscious since the beginning of the fight, was finally beginning to wake up. He opened his eyes slowly, blinking several times until his vision adjusted. When he saw Towa and Goku together, Yamcha widened his eyes in disbelief. Yamcha shouted, pointing dramatically, "Goku, what are you doing?" Towa quickly stood up, brushing the dust off her clothes and trying to hide the awkward moment. His tone of voice returned to normal, but his face was still slightly embarrassed, and he said, "That's none of your business, you pathetic human." Yamcha, completely ignoring Towa, continued to complain, gesturing in an exaggerated manner. "I knew you were a bit oblivious, Goku, but this and Chi-Chi. What are you going to say to her?" Vegeta, who had stopped to watch the scene, huffed in frustration. "Yamcha, can you stop being an idiot for 5 seconds? This was an accident, nothing more." Goku, still confused by the whole situation, said, "Yeah, Yamcha, it was just an accident. Why do you always think there's something wrong?" Yamcha crossed his arms, huffing like a spoiled child. "It doesn't matter. I saw what I saw, and Chi-Chi will know about it." Towa, now completely irritated, raised her hand and fired a blast of dark energy at Yamcha, who screamed and threw himself to the ground to dodge it. Towa spoke, her eyes narrowed. "You're tiring me out, human. Maybe I should finish you off now to spare everyone from your drama." Vegeta, taking advantage of the distraction, shouted at Towa, "Hey, your fight is with me!" He charged again, his golden aura shining brightly. Towa turned in time to block the blow, but Vegeta's strength was clearly increasing. Towa thought to herself, narrowing her eyes, "This kid is getting stronger as the fight goes on. Interesting." Meanwhile, Yamcha stood up again, still complaining. "This isn't going to stay like this, Goku. I'll tell you everything." Goku sighed, shaking his head. "Yamcha, seriously, you need to relax." The fight between Vegeta and Towa was still fierce, but the awkwardness of the previous moment still hung in the air, leaving everyone with emotions running high. The battle was far from over, but the drama seemed endless. The battlefield was in ruins, with debris scattered everywhere. The energy in the air was suffocating, and Towa's every move made the ground tremble. Vegeta, however, was no longer willing to retreat. His Saiyan pride shone in his eyes, and the determination in his heart burned like an unquenchable flame. Towa launched a colossal sphere of black energy towards Vegeta. The Saiyan was thrown back, but stabilized in the air, his face marked by a mixture of exhaustion and determination. Vegeta shouted, "No matter how hard you try, Towa, I won't lose to you." Goku, watching from afar, shouted enthusiastically, "You can do it, Vegeta! Show her what Saiyans are made of!" Towa floated in the air, the smile of superiority still present on her face. "It's admirable, boy, but the difference between us is immense. You can scream all you want, but in the end, you will be defeated like everyone else." Vegeta clenched his fists, his golden aura shining even brighter. He gritted his teeth, remembering all the battles that had led him to this point. It was time to surpass his limits. Vegeta shouted, "Let's see if you can still smile after this." With a roar that made the ground tremble, Vegeta began to release an absurd amount of energy. His golden hair grew until it reached his back, and his aura became even more intense, almost unbearable to look at. His muscles became more defined, and the power emanating from him was overwhelming. Goku's eyes widened, impressed. "You activated it again, Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta, now in his new form, looked at Towa with a confident smile. "So, do you still think you can beat me?" Towa stepped back slightly, feeling the weight of Vegeta's power. Even so, she maintained her confident posture and spoke. "Transformations are just a trick. No matter how much you shine, it doesn't change the fact that I am superior." Vegeta replied, laughing, "Superior? Let's see who is truly superior!" He disappeared at high speed, reappearing right in front of Towa. Before the villain could react, Vegeta threw a powerful punch that broke through Towa's energy barrier, hitting her squarely. Towa was thrown away, crashing to the ground with a crash. Towa stood up, injured but furious, and shouted, "Damn boy, you will pay for this!" She focused all her energy into a single attack, creating a gigantic black sphere that pulsed with pure evil energy. "This will be your end, Saiyan!" Vegeta raised his hands, creating his own golden energy sphere, but then smiled and changed his mind. He pulled his hands away, focusing all his energy into a different attack. Vegeta shouted, "Let's see how you do against this! Final flash!" The golden energy blast was so intense that it lit up the entire sky, obliterating Towa's attack and hitting her squarely. The impact was devastating and a huge crater appeared where Towa had been. When the light dissipated, Towa was on the ground, defeated, her evil energy vanishing into thin air. Goku landed next to Vegeta, still in awe of what he had just witnessed. He looked at him with an excited smile and said, "Vegeta, that was amazing! Your Super Saiyan 3 is much stronger than mine." Vegeta, taking a deep breath to catch his breath, replied with a proud smile, "Of course it is, I'm simply the best." Before they could celebrate, a sobbing sound caught their attention. Yamcha was standing looking at the crater where Towa had fallen, tears streaming down his face. Yamcha spoke, crying, She could have been the woman of my life," Vegeta said angrily. "Stop talking, you insect!" Yamcha continued, completely ignoring his question. "Towa was beautiful, powerful, mysterious, and now she's gone. Why did it have to end like this?" Goku, scratching his head, asked, "Seriously, Yamcha? After everything she did, you're still thinking about that?" Yamcha wiped his tears with his sleeve, but soon pointed an accusing finger at Goku. "It doesn't matter. Still, Goku, I'm going to tell Chi-Chi everything about what I saw." Vegeta started laughing loudly, barely able to control himself. "You've got to be kidding, right? Yamcha, you're a walking joke!" Yamcha, offended, shouted, "Hey, I'm serious! I saw you and that villain together, and I'm not going to let that go!" Goku shook his head, still confused by Yamcha's drama. "Okay, Yamcha, do whatever you want." As Yamcha continued to grumble and Vegeta laughed out loud, the atmosphere finally began to calm down. However, the dust from the crater began to dissipate, and everyone looked at the place where Towa had been defeated. Vegeta crossed his arms, satisfied, while Goku remained attentive. Yamcha, on the other hand, was still lost in his own drama, looking at the destruction with a confused expression. Suddenly, a dark energy began to emanate from the center of the crater. It was an intense energy, filled with pure hatred and determination. A silhouette slowly emerged from the middle of the smoke. Towa was standing, her eyes glowing with a menacing red light. Vegeta said, alarmed, "I can't believe it! She's still standing!" Towa smiled, her teeth gleaming amidst the darkness that surrounded her. "Do you think that would be enough to defeat me? You underestimated my true power." Her energy increased exponentially and her body began to glow with a black light. Her hair, already long, grew even longer, falling almost to the ground and pulsed with an evil energy. Her transformation made the air around her vibrate and the ground began to crack beneath her feet. Yamcha, who had been terrified earlier, suddenly changed his expression completely. His eyes shone and he grinned from ear to ear and said, "She has become even more beautiful." Vegeta looked at Yamcha in disbelief. "Yamcha, are you serious? She just transformed into something even more dangerous, and all you can think about is this." Yamcha, with his hands together in a dreamy gesture, replied, "It's not my fault. She's a goddess." Towa completely ignored Yamcha and focused on Goku and Vegeta. "Now, you will understand true terror. I will destroy all of you, and this time, there will be no salvation." Vegeta, despite being impressed by Towa's new power, maintained his confidence and spoke, "No matter how much you transform, we'll take you down again." Before Vegeta could advance, Goku raised a hand asking him to wait. "Vegeta, leave this one to me." Goku's expression changed drastically. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, entering a state of total concentration. His aura changed, becoming silvery and translucent, and his body began to glow faintly. His hair didn't change, but his eyes took on an intense silver glow. Vegeta's eyes widened, recognizing what was happening, and he said, "Ultra Instinct." Yamcha, who was still distracted by his admiration for Towa, stopped and looked at Goku. "Wow, Goku, you always have a trick up your sleeve, huh?" Goku slowly opened his eyes, his voice calm and controlled. "Towa, this ends here." Towa laughed, her voice full of disdain. "Do you think this transformation will change anything? I'm superior." Goku didn't answer. He disappeared in the blink of an eye, reappearing right in front of Towa. Before she could react, he unleashed a series of incredibly fast blows, each one hitting a vital point. Towa was thrown back, but managed to stabilize herself in the air. Furious, she screamed, releasing a wave of black energy that spread across the field. Goku dodged all the attacks with smooth movements, as if he were dancing. Each of her blows passed millimeters from his body, but he remained unharmed. Towa spoke, frustrated. "Why don't you stop moving?" Goku replied, still calm. "You've already lost." He raised his hands, starting to charge a huge amount of energy in his palms. A blue glow began to form, growing rapidly. It was the Kamehameha. Yamcha, realizing what was about to happen, shouted in despair, "No, Goku, don't do this! She can be saved! She can change!" Vegeta, exasperated, shouted back, "Shut up, Yamcha! She tried to kill us several times!" Goku, without being distracted, continued charging the attack. The energy around him was so intense that the ground began to crumble. He finally positioned his hands to launch the blow. Goku shouted, his voice echoing, "Kamehameha!" The wave of blue energy rushed toward Towa with devastating force. Towa tried to resist, creating a barrier with her dark energy, but it was useless. Goku's Kamehameha, amplified by Ultra Instinct, broke through her defense and hit her squarely. The resulting explosion was colossal, illuminating the entire battlefield. When the light finally disappeared, Towa was no longer there. Her energy had been completely erased. Yamcha fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "No! She could have been the woman of my life!" Vegeta, holding back a laugh, crossed his arms and looked at him with an amused expression. "You really are hopeless, aren't you, Yamcha?" Goku landed next to Vegeta, the silver glow of his Ultra Instinct fading as he returned to normal. He looked at Yamcha, scratching his head with an awkward smile. "Yamcha, are you okay?" Yamcha looked up, still crying. "No, Goku, I'll never get over this, but I'll still tell Chi-Chi everything." Vegeta and Goku finally burst into laughter, doubling over as they laughed. "You're unbelievable, Yamcha!" Even though the battle was over, the tension and peculiar humor of the moment remained. While Yamcha mourned his lost love and insisted on causing drama, Goku and Vegeta knew they had done what was necessary to protect the universe once again. The end.